Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Time. This is a show that is dedicated to chat and spiritual Q&A. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Stephen Rowlands. I've been a Christian spiritualist for 47 years. I've been serving spirit as a trance healer and as a trance medium and demonstrating mediumship in spiritualist churches for the past 42 years. And I created this show just so that me and other mediums could sit and have a chat and that people could ask questions, spiritual questions on what we're talking about. So anyway, without further ado, I would like to welcome my guest, the lovely Janet Bramhall, and she should be coming up on screen very shortly. Hello, Janet, how you doing?
Good morning, Stephen, and good morning, everybody that's joining us.
Okay, Janet, sorry, I'll keep mixing my words up.
Just call me Jan, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, Janet's a lot easier. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, Jan, for those that don't know you, would you like to just tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get on discussing things?
Yes, well, as far as spirits and spirituality goes, I've been a professional medium these past 14 years. However, aware of spirits since childhood. My guides have led me, and I am spirit led all the time. Always take their advice and listen for the direction, which has led me into becoming a working medium within churches. Giving readings also as a tutor. I have circles, trance, open circle, closed circle, and I'm also serving spirit by being a channel for healing as well. I am connected with the higher realms and sometimes angelic energies choose to be alongside me, depending on the needs of others, usually.
That's lovely. No, that's brilliant, Jan. The needs of others, I mean, I think that puts it all into context, doesn't it? Because we are there to serve others through spirit, aren't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me, well, and you, I know that is what it's all about. How can we serve? And how can we bring people to realizing eternal life and the benefits and gratitude that come with it?
Oh, I agree. I mean, it is a life path, like you were saying, that you've been aware of your spirit since you was a child, same as me. I've been aware of spirits since a child, but I don't know about you, Janet, but it all got very confusing. It was like I was being bombarded by spirit, and that's what led me into spiritualism, and that made sense of it all to me. Not only one day you can be a medium, one day you can be a healer, and all that kind of thing. It was the actual science of it all. It was the knowledge of it all that really attracted me. I was 17 years old then. All right. I'm 65 now, so I can say that it's a life path. And, just simple teachings like positive balance is negative in this life. Everything, everything balances each other because everything is energy. I'm rambling now. I didn't mean to ramble, Jan, but I'm rambling.
No, please. You're not rambling. I know that once we get on a roll, I mean, obviously, we're opening up all the time and our energy shifts immediately as our thought processes shift. So that brings in an energy and it fills us with so much to say because our guides and our connections to our soul group, it opens up a pathway with so much information and we need, it's wonderful and we need to share it. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Go on, Jan.
Yeah, you're not rabbiting on or anything. You're just filled with what you have to say, and I understand that.
Yeah, getting back to the life path, it is a journey of learning. I'm sure you all agree
All
with
of it,
that. Yeah,
all of it.
I started at 17 years old, and I didn't, I just knew that there was a purpose to it. That's what led me into spiritualism, and it just made me realise that I wasn't weird.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
when you come into spiritualism, did you realise that all your experiences beforehand were perfectly normal,
I
or was
hadn't a
part of the natural
clue.
path?
I had, I hadn't a clue, Stephen. The first time I was literally visited an angelic, um, by an angel in my bedroom when I was about 10 years old. Um, I mean, at that time, I didn't understand why I'd had the visit. I wasn't spoken to per se, but I was within, as I stood in the middle of the bedroom looking at this mid morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, as a child, and I was totally consumed by this energy, and I was filled with this feeling of love that is beyond description. I cannot tell you. And the energies and the light of that angel did not remain within the bedroom. It shone all outside of the window and everything. It was absolutely beautiful. Um, I could spend a half an hour trying to describe it, but that was my first realization that, and in that moment, I knew that there was a love beyond that which I had cut up to now, even known. I mean, my parents were brilliant, and I had love from them, but there was a knowledge of a different life or a continued life within those moments that I was held within that energy. And that, I mean, I before then, as a when I went to infant school and I used to listen to the stories about Jesus, I went home and I said to Mum, I have to find Jesus, Mum. And she said, well, how do you think you're going to do that? I said, I don't know, but I will find him. And I ended up going to a little Sunday school. And I just knew in my heart that Jesus existed here now. To me, in my little mind, Jesus lived. And I needed to find him because he was such a beautiful man with all of this love. And anyway, I went to Sunday school and they gave me a little picture of Jesus. Um, and that was it. I slept with that picture underneath my pillow every night. And I was delighted that I had some sort of visualization of this Christ spirit, which I didn't know then. But I knew from being very young that Jesus, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but part of my spiritual serving is to serve God. I believe in a higher realm. I believe in the Christ Spirit. I believe in the Holy Spirit. And whatever I can give back, because now I'm of the understanding why my life's journey, which as most people can, it has been traumatic. It has been filled with all sorts of experiences, ranging from despair to complete joy. It has been a complete roller coaster. And I know now that it was all within the plan to bring me to being where I am now. And I serve accordingly. And that's about as basic as I can make it, really.
That's lovely. I'm so glad that you mentioned Jesus, because the first church I ever attended was Manor Park Christian Spiritualist Church, and still see myself as a Christian spiritualist today. Now, Jesus to me is everything that spiritualism is. It's everything that I know to be true. He's the true example of everything I know to be true. He was an evolved spirit that come to this earth plane, lived within and around a physical, like as we all do, and lived in a material world. And he passed on his messages to us. And in the famous message, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. What to me, what he was saying is, I am you. because his whole life to me, as dictated in the Bible, was everything that I know to be true from what I've learned as a Christian spiritualist. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, and I think people need to take the religion out of Jesus.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Do you know, strangely enough, that was within a recent conversation I was having. Oh, it was during a trance night, and whoever was speaking with me said to us that because we had personified Jesus as the man, and religion had made him into this figure, um, it was, I mean, I can't describe it now as the guides did, but basically what they were saying was, we have put Jesus sort of into a religious box, and actually Jesus was a personification of the Holy Spirit, the Christ Spirit, which is far greater than the containment of the physical body concept. And this is the driving force of all life, is is the truth of it. And so if we took the religion out of it, because the churches, God love them, have done so much damage, and I could go into the politics of it, but I'm not going to. We just need to rely on the message, the words that Jesus brought to us, and the real meaning of it. I mean, for goodness sake, he gave us the most perfect prayer that anybody could ever have. And even to take the angst of, oh, I need to say the right things to God. He gave us that prayer for everybody to use, and it is perfection.
yeah, I agree. The Lord's Prayer, I think that's been sort of like corrupted over the years. You know what I mean? Man's put their own interpretation on it.
Well, let's
You
say
know?
it's been manipulated, Stephen.
Yeah, manipulated. Yeah, corrupted is a bit too strong a word. But to me, in that prayer, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. What he was saying is, as above, so below, which is an ancient teaching. Um,
Well, it's also a direction that on this earthly plane, during our learning and the teachings, that it's all a part of the fabrication of bringing all consciousness levels, including the earth plane, to know of heaven. And to know of heaven is to come to know, is to love without exception, to love each other without exception, to love everything without exception. And that is a big ask, especially when you think about the shadow energies that inhibit this earth plane and cause so much terror and horror to people. But it's all going on, and it's all an advancement. That much I do know.
Do you know what? I agree. As you're aware, you've heard this many times, and you've probably said it many times yourself, that this life, this world, this planet, is one giant comprehensive school, and we're all on different levels of understanding. But our true journey, as I understand it, is that our pathway, as spirit, we are an expression of God,
Indeed.
and however you see God, I prefer to say source, the source energy. We're all from that. What I want to sort of say, we're here learning. We're on a pathway to learn unconditional love, and on that pathway, we're encountering many people with many different levels of consciousness. Some are brilliant and lovely and beautiful, and some are just downright evil, and all the levels in between. So we have to navigate that. All right. But one of the greatest teachings I think that Jesus ever gave, and it's in the Gospel of Thomas, which has been left out of the Bible, is that God is within you and all around you. And I wish, Spirit teach this as well, My guides call him the Master Jesus, who came to Earth, that he fulfilled a purpose on Earth. And anyway, I just wish more spiritualists could realise that God is within and all around and bring that into their everyday lives, because we haven't just got to believe in it, we've got to live it, haven't we?
Well, we don't, it's by choice, and we don't got to do anything. But this is the beauty of this free will choice. But all I know is that I know as surely as the sun rises every day that everybody, Stephen, whether they are aware at the moment or not, will come to that knowledge. And that is a comfort, because when everybody does, we're going to be living in a world of equality and comfort and support and hope and peace and equality. And that is what all this life energy, and including a lot more, is all about. Unconditional love.
Yeah,
And we're far from realizing that.
It's all in unconditional love. I think, on the journey to unconditional love, I'm learning myself, as I think everybody does. When you bring unconditional love in and you become mindful of unconditional love, you become a lot less judgmental. We accept people and situations for what they are and realise.
Stephen, the terminology unconditional love. I mean, that is a huge thing to think about. I mean, how far have you been pushed to know whether you can unconditionally love, regardless of, despite whatever falls upon you? Because there are challenges out there with people that could push that aspect of, you say you can unconditionally love, but can you unconditionally love in this particular situation? I mean, how many of us have been really challenged to be able to say, I can? I think that we might think that we can, and we're striving to be able to, but it's easy, like when we're sitting at home, we've got a roof over our heads, we've got food in our belly, we've got warmth, and so we might have not an abundance, but we have the basics. How would we be saying these conversations if we were, say, sitting in a war-torn country with an empty belly and no roof over our heads and watching our children suffer? Then wasn't the question become profound, a different sort of question?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you come from. I'm privileged, the same as most people are in this country, that we can look and we can meditate on unconditional love. We can do our best to become unconditional love. But when those conditions where we're like hungry and in a war-torn country, okay, but as we know, love is the most powerful thing in the universe. And one way or another, through that love, it's going to be very hard to love somebody that's bombing us or shooting at us. Okay. And, because it's all civilians that get taught, two countries or two factions will disagree in a country. And it's civilians that get caught up in the middle and get bombed and shot at and all the rest of it. So, I think we're put on all these different levels. I think that is a great learning, when you're in them sort of conditions, for the soul to learn how to unconditionally love. And it's not done in this time. It's done over many, many lifetimes in many different environments.
Absolutely it is, yeah.
And, my heart, but also for those of us that are sitting here with roofs over our head and food in our bellies, we've got to send that love and that compassion to them, and we've got to do our best. That's a lesson for us in unconditional love. Not, they brought it on themselves and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? Michelle Oliver asked a question, and basically I'm trying to scroll up to it or down to it. Okay, but not when she was in the washroom, but basically is, why do people suffer? illness or war or all the horrible things that happen. Why do people suffer? And I want to say if God is so good, because I answer this question many, many times. I know my take on it from spirit guides talking years ago, but what's your thoughts?
My thoughts on that. Well, there's always the bigger picture, because my teaching is that we have this physical lifetime isn't all that our life is, that we have been within creation, created by perfect love. And as such, we have lived a long, long, long time, many thousands, perhaps billions, millions of years. And the true aspect of our lives, part of it, is the spirit that we are. First and foremost, we are spirit. We're here in this physical occasion for the continued teaching and progression of our spirit growth and our soul growth. Now, when you put that together, there is a thing called karma. And within spirit, we are reborn, and we forget very often. Otherwise, the journey that we're having now wouldn't be undertaken, because we would know everything that we had accumulated over eons of lives. There is a thing called karma. And I can assure you that my guides have taught me that though we see suffering as we perceive it and judge it and analyze it, or try to, in truth, there is a working out being done here. There is a reason for this. The souls that appear and are literally, in the physical sense, suffering, in truth are doing a great service for their soul group, which is to do with karma, the working out of karma. In other words, transgressions that have been accumulative over eons of time, that they need to come to a realization. And the realization is to find universal spirit, the great creator, and to live by the laws that have been taught by that perfection. And this is all a part of that. Lots of these people that you see were first and foremost, and are first and foremost, spirit. And before they are reborn to this earth plane, they sign what they call a contract of service. And many come with great sacrifice for that of the soul group, and therein take on the pains and suffering of this physical life for the benefit of the outcome in later, for the benefit of the pool of the soul group and the true life that they are within. I hope I've said that clearly enough.
I agree with that 100%. I do apologise. It was Colette Perryman that asked that question. Why do so many people, adults and children, made to suffer, either born and gone?
Well, of course, we see children as children, but in fact, they're very aged spirits. A lot of them, because we see everything. This world of ours teaches us all about separation, separate bodies, separate houses, separate this, separate that. But in the truth, that is an illusion, because the truth of it is that our life energy is all intertwined. We are all connected. And obviously, these forms that we take on as physical beings are necessary for these teachings, for this journey. But in truth, our life is not as we see it.
Very true, Jan. I mean, many moons ago, Spirit Guide Lee come through Ian in circle, and he was talking about each receiving according to the need.
Yes.
So it's the soul need, not your physical need. we'd all love to be sort of like wealthy and happy and loved and everything like that, and and be full of health and everything like that. But in a way, it is very much the learning how to love unconditionally. He was saying the soul comes into life to learn those lessons, whether they're disabled or they suffer some disease later on in life, or they get killed in a war or whatever. Each life, each spirit chooses that life before they come to Earth for the lessons it will learn, and we come into life with people from our soul group. They can be our mums and our dads, our lovers, whatever, and they all come to teach us our lesson. But they also come in different roles. They might be people that love us dearly in one life, and people that are our greatest enemies in another.
Absolutely.
And to me, karma is the working mechanics of reincarnation. What's the point of reincarnation if we're not coming to learn something, to do something? Karma states, right, you've used your free will, and you've gone off that pathway of unconditional love or coming closer to God. This is what you've created. And the way Lee described it was, it's sort of like we choose that life, we choose that suffering on a soul level, on an internal level, to learn the lessons from it.
Absolutely.
And to gain that truth from within. Some of the greatest people. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, carry on. Some of the greatest people.
Some of the greatest people I've known have suffered a great deal, and are still suffering. And they've really taught me humility and things like that, And just to use this as an analogy, I was listening to an address from a medium, and I use this in an address myself. That it's easy to, put your arms around and cuddle and love a dolly bird, so a very pretty girl, or for a girl to sort of like hug and love a very handsome man. But could you do that to something like a tramp in the street that had been sick on themselves? And to me, that's where the lesson lies. In that simple
That and far more. It's I think rebirth is a wonder. I see it as a very beautiful, compassionate, helping hand. We are given chance after chance to learn by what we decide when we go home. When we are taken through that journey of revisiting that which we have done on this physical life, because all of it without exception is known, and we have to travel our choices and mainly the effect of those choices upon other people. In other words, we live through the effects of either the pain that we have given to other people or the joys that we've shared to other people. And after that journey, once we go home, we decide, well, look, I'd like to be reborn again to make amends or to make this better. Or, if we have that compassion within us, then we have that ability and that chance to be reborn so that we can continue to learn and to make amends. And I think it is a wonderful thing.
I agree 100%. I mean, with free will, we don't have to come back if we don't want to, but universally, in the realm of the spirit, we'll learn that lesson somewhere else.
Indeed.
What Colette Perriman's just said is, but God wouldn't want us to suffer if he loved us all.
God is all about goodness. God has nothing to do. See, people think it's like some sort of ruler that allows tragedies and pain and suffering. God is no place within. I mean, God is within every aspect of life, sure, and within each person, but the free will choice of whether they follow the light and love and compassion of people, or whether they choose to go against it. And this is what makes people, the spirit, the way that they are, by the choices that they make. And God has no place within any choices that would harm another. God is there, but cannot wave a magic wand, because the free will choice is up to the individual or individuals that are causing these horrors onto other people.
Yeah, I just want to mention, this is something that I talk about when I'm in, doing an address or something, because a lot of people get confused with divine will, and I think it's God being sort of like punishing us in whatever way, when something bad happens, or something bad happens to us, or one of our loved ones suffer. But we are God. God within me, God without. How shall I ever be in doubt? I am the sower and the sown, God's self unfolding own. So we are God. So when we're doing good or bad, divine will is coming through us from our own
Stephen,
divinity.
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
absolutely agree. But I can't let this question go unanswered here.
Yeah,
From
go for it.
Colette Perryman. I mean, we're talking here, and there are lots of questions that are very meaningful that need addressing, I think. I carried 2 babies for full term and only lived, they only lived a couple of hours. Oh, sorry. And only lived, I think, a couple of hours, and the other baby 1 day. How could God take that away from me, or put me in so much grief and pain? If I wanted my child, why didn't he take the child early on and not make me carry my babies full term?
It's a great
That
question.
needs that needs answering.
It does. Yeah. Do you want me to give my
Yeah,
take on
please.
it? Okay. As me and Jan have been discussing, there's a working mechanism within the universe called reincarnation and karma. Okay. Um, and as me and Jan have discussed, we choose the life that we're going to live. And actually, I was talking with this somebody the other week who asked me exactly the same question. And as we've said, souls choose their experience on Earth. And there are some souls that come to come to just touch the Earth in the physical to see if they like it or not, or just to experience that connection with Mother and the physical self. And they choose to be here for a very short time just for that experience. And nothing more. I know that doesn't do anything to sort of like help you with your grief, but can I say that that soul has chosen to be your child, and that to me is a great act of love. In your soul contract, you chose to be that child's mother, which is a
Yes, and
great
also
act of love.
absolutely,
Yeah. And I'm really
absolutely.
sorry for the pain and suffering and grief that you felt. But when you look at it in an eternal life way, in a universal way, that soul who was your baby's chose to just touch on the earth just for that short time. Me, and chose you as the mother, and you chose that soul to be your child and to experience that love and loss together, and to experience the letting go of each other, which there are great lessons in that. I mean, we could talk all day about that, couldn't we?
Could.
And there's something else I was going to say, but it's completely gone out of my mind. But sending love to you, Colette, as a medium. When a child that's stillborn or didn't go full term, and giving that message to the mother, you're sensing the sadness and the grief of the mother, but you're also experiencing the emotions of that soul. And giving a message like that has to come through with a lot of compassion and a lot of love. And but the baby is proving, talking like a spiritualist now, proving that that they've gone on, that they're alive and are well. I know that doesn't comfort your grief, Colette. Okay, but please know that, you know, I'm sure that your child will come and communicate with you in some way or another, not necessarily through a medium, but a little sign or something like that. Know that your children are safe and well in spirit, but between you, you are learning great lessons. And I just want to say to you, one of the greatest lessons I've had to learn is to let go with love. And that is a great lesson in itself, where either somebody's cleared off and they've hurt me, or they've passed away into spirit. I've had to let them go with love. And I think that is the lesson that is coming here. I don't want to sound like a school teacher, Colette, and I don't want to sound hard, but sometimes the truth can come across as hard. But please know that what happened with you and them children was a great lesson through love. And I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry if I sounded hard. What do you think, Janet?
Well, Colette, with all my heart, I empathize so much and realize more than you'll ever know the pain that I realize that you're undertaking at the moment. But Colette, if this helps just a little bit today, what Stephen has just said and what I'm about to say, if you can realize that in truth there is never death, it is not death. And as I said in the beginning, we are first and foremost spirit. Your children are spirit. You are spirit. You are a part of a spiritual family, your soul group. And in truth, you never let go of each other. So if you can just take into your heart the fact that this is a pause, and that one day, when your time comes to return home, as your children decided to go home before you, there will be a reunion, and within that reunion, wonderful rejoicing. If you can hold on to that and it helps a little, please try to. God bless you, darling.
Thank you, Janet. I think Colette's question raises many questions, and it's sort of like, you know, and as Janet said, your children are there with you in your soul group, and one day you will be reunited with them. But please know that they're alive and well in spirit, and they share that beautiful connection of love with you.
And the pain that you're suffering, Colette, in this world it might seem and is all consuming, and you can't find a purpose to it. But trust me, the spirit of you, which is eternal, will know precisely why you took on board this suffering and this pain. And I know it sounds perhaps crazy to those that don't realize or trust that the truth of it is that, like I said earlier about the karma and the soul group family, it's all about that, Colette. All about that, sweetie. But I will tell you something. You are a very courageous spirit to be undertaking this painful pathway. That much is for sure. Very courageous indeed.
100%. 100%. Colette makes an earlier comment about, you know, she works in the hospital, she's a good person, she doesn't drink or smoke or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think the better you try to be, the harder the lessons. You know, I don't know what your take is on that.
I can only speak from a personal point of view. And there was one time when I've been crying out to God, why me? Why this? What have I done? Da-di-da-di-da. And being so in despair and so within fear and so alone and so traumatized. And I didn't know then. And God, I only know now how blessed I am to have come to the knowledge as to the reasons why life brought to me quite a few traumatic and very painful and despairing and traumatizing and grief-ridden journeys. But at least I know the reasons now. I mean, God knows there are so many people out there that haven't got the first indication as to why they suffer. Absolutely. And it is in its way a comfort. And I tell you what, Stephen, regardless of whatever has occurred to me in this lifetime, I know with all of my heart, I would say, yeah, I'll do it again. If it brings me to this knowledge, I would go through it again.
I agree with that 100%. Getting to Colette's next, what she's saying is, I've not been able to go into their baby room, cot still there, and all their toys, teddy, etc. Colette, darling, you are grieving hard, and there's no time limit on grief.
Yeah.
You know, and I wish there's in some way that me and Jan could bring you comfort. But what I want to say is,
Well, we can help. We can help within this moment by
yeah,
asking everybody here online. And for us, I mean, I don't know if people pray, but all I know is it takes a thought of compassion to move the heart, which causes love to go into Colette's house, the baby room, within and around her. And we can ask a spirit to bring instant healing and upliftment and courage to help support her through this time. And the energies will shift immediately. And maybe she could then perhaps try going into that room and feeling how bright it is. And also within that room was built of love. And those children's love is within that place. It's within every aspect of her life and her home. And if she can use this to carry her through this grief, then please God, we pray for that to be occurring now. That's what we can do. We can all help in this moment.
yeah. I think I will include you in my prayers, Colette. And thank you, Jan. That was beautifully answered. Because that's why I have guests on here, because they think in a different way to I do, so you get a different aspect.
Nothing more powerful than prayer. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter when you put your hands together and believe in God. All you need is to feel sorrow for that person or an empathy for that person or understand that person because of your own journey. That will cause the healing to work. That is what's creating the healing, the compassion and the love based feelings that people have for anybody else that are going through pain or hurt.
I always advise people that are grieving to allow their grief to roll, to let it flow, not to bottle it up. You know, have the tears, have the pajama days, the duvet days, whatever. You know, but as Jan's saying, prayer can really help. Prayer is our connection to spirit. Prayer is our connection to God. So, you know, take the religious connotations out of prayer, because Jesus taught us how to pray as well. And know that He is your link to God. It's your link to your loved ones, and it's your link to those who guide you. Please ask for guidance through your grief, but don't bottle your grief up. Colette, allow it to flow, and I'm sure that you will heal quicker in that way. Colette also goes on to say, why do we say heaven and hell? Where do we go when we pass away? My take on that is that comes from spirit guides again, is that we create our own heaven and hell.
Absolutely, mine too, mine too,
Yeah,
Stephen. We go to our consciousness, awareness, thought level, and that which we've created within our lifetime is where we go. And in fact, there is only a hell. If you think that there is a hell or you've lived in a hellish way, you create where you go when you pass over. When you go home, you go to the place that you've created. One of my
Exactly.
guides said to me, Stephen, one day, please do not try to think what heaven is like, because your thinking could be quite limited. And as you think, so you create. And if you create within limitation, there too will your heaven be. Please expect nothing but everything and more.
I love that. I love that because we could talk about it and we can
Isn't
get.
that a lovely thing for them to let me know?
Yeah, oh, that's beautiful. I love it. I wish I'd been there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
to discuss that with them, you know.
Well, it was
But
only here and in here. It was in the moment. I must have been thinking about something, perhaps after somebody's passing. And this is my main life guide that spoke to me like that.
yeah, and that's the beauty of your spirit guides. They come and they give us this teaching for us to put into this understanding to put on onto others. Because I don't know if you'll agree with me, Jan. I think you will actually. But we are messengers of the truth. We're not just there to prove survival. We are messengers of the truth.
We're
Um,
not just here to look handsome and pretty, Stephen. We are here to do something with this
that's
knowledge.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's knowledge, everybody's knowledge on here, all their experiences and knowledge. And we need to chat, we need to share. It's all about that.
I agree. My days of looking pretty are over. But Colette Perriman's just saying, will we all be together with all our loved ones again that have passed before us? Yes,
Absolutely.
and we will. You will go to your soul group. Your life will be discussed, and the best way for you to progress. You make contracts with people, your loved ones in that soul group, of how you're going to be together in the next life. Reincarnation is a working part of the universe. Karma is our free will in action. Karma basically states, as you give, so shall you receive. You know, yes, they will be waiting for you, or not as such as waiting
Just
for you.
what will they be waiting on me? Well, it depends if you like silver service or not, Colette.
No, no. But I just, they know you're coming back. You know, and all the rest of it. But there's you must have heard this, Jan. Um, when somebody dies, we're crying our eyes out on earth. We're grieving. But when they go back into spirit, there's sort of like a little celebration. Welcome
There's
back.
always a huge celebration. And I don't
Yeah,
like that word dies. Nobody dies. They transition, they move on,
yeah,
they
yeah.
continue to live.
Do you know
Nothing
what
ever.
ascending universal butterfly? That's what we're meant to do, is to assist people. You know, without me getting too political about spiritualism, yes, I do go. Me and Janet go into churches and prove life after death, but it's what you do with that knowledge afterwards. And we are messengers of that truth. And I wish more mediums saw it that way, and healers. And we are there to help assist people with that truth. Colette and anybody else, whatever grieves them or whatever's, stopping their path from progressing. But we too have to go through those lessons ourselves. And, from those lessons that we've experienced in life, we can help others. And not just through giving spiritual knowledge that we picked up from guides. We have to live it as well.
We absolutely do. Again, my life guide once said to me, better that you never came by the knowledge that you have, that have this knowledge and live against it.
Yeah, I think we have to live it. You know what I mean? I mean,
Absolutely, we do. And it's like,
yeah,
we don't just, it doesn't just happen for Stephen and I know I can speak for him as well, that when we open the doors and enter a church to give messages, or when we sit here online to speak, or when we purposely do an act of healing, all of our life, within every moment, we are aware. And because of that awareness, we are active all of the time to some degree or another. Wouldn't you agree, Stephen?
Sorry, I was looking at the poem I'm going to read. Can you say that again, please, Janet? I do apologise.
I was just saying that regardless of our actions, whether we purposely walk into a church or we are doing readings or sitting here on, speaking as we are in this moment, because we have come to the knowledge that we have come to, I would say without doubt that, well, I suppose only speak for myself, but I think you'd agree that every moment of our lives, because we have the knowledge and we are aware, we are within the midst of this all of the time.
I agree 100%. For
And
one way
living
or
our lives as spirit rather than as physical.
yeah, as a physical and all the rest of it. I was watching something today. This is another discussion. Got to get you on, all right. But this is for another time. But we get trapped in the physical and the material. You know, me like you, we've got to have enough money to keep a roof over our heads, and foods in our bellies, and to care for our loved ones and all the rest of it. But we are also spirit, and and we are eternal, and we know this, and we're passing that on to as many as we can through church services or like today or whatever. But when I think when we live as spirit, as evolving spirit, rather than being bogged down in the material, like I've got to earn money, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I think that makes the material world so much clearer. When we live purely as a soul, a developing and evolving soul on earth. Would you agree with that?
Yes, that it holds more clarity too. But there's also the fact that it seems, well, it has seemed to me that, I mean, I don't have a lot materially, but I have a good home and roof, and I have enough to live on. Now, a lot of my work I do spiritually, I do free gratis. A lot of the work I do for charities. That's not to say that I don't get paid like for travel and such, which tops up my pension a little bit. But do you know what, Stephen? Since I've been working, I can honestly say to you, well, and before then really, that gradually over the years, I've not needed, because I'm not a wanting person, but I've never needed anything like I used to need. It somehow I've always been comfortable to be able to say, today I'm going to do this, or today, I don't mean going out. I mean, I haven't had a holiday in 40, 50 years. I've not been able to afford one, but I can choose whether I work or not and how I work. And the choices I make have given me a comfortable living where I have an assurity of a home, an assurity of food, and a surety of beautiful people, beautiful friends, and mainly that I'm in service and I'm grateful. And this is my way of returning my gratitude.
I learned something today, and it's one of Jesus's teachings that you can serve God and money, but you can't but serve them both at the same time. And I think that's very true.
Say that again, Stephen. I was reading something. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. I want to get to. I've forgotten who said it. All right, but I want to get to her comment as well. But this is one of Jesus' teachings, which I only learned today, which was you can serve God and money, but you can't serve them both at the same time.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh God. Well, you've only got to look at the world and the wars that are going on to talk about money.
Yeah, it's all about money. But as spiritualist mediums, I still work. All right. I'll retire next year, and I'm making sure that I can choose when and where and how I do things. I've got a roof and everything like that. But I'm not sort of like riding around in a Bentley with a fan club, if you know what I mean.
I don't know where people get this.
You know what I mean? I'm not earning a living out of it. I'm working materially to fulfill my material needs. But getting back, there's a later, without scrolling through loads of comments, You're the same as me, Jan. But without scrolling through loads of comments, a lady said, "Can we kiss them before they go?" Of course, you can kiss them before they go. Give them as much love as you can before they go. It will help their transition into the realms of spirit. As some of you or all of you may be aware, we're not allowed to speak of a death, an upcoming death. Anybody who does isn't working on the right side. Okay. Um, what I want to say is what we're taught by spirit is not to predict the death, but to tell people to go and spend some time with them, to love them as much as you can. All right. So please, if sadly you've got a loved one that's about to pass away, please kiss them before they go. Please let them know that you love them. Okay. Um, it's all part of that love that they can carry with them into the realms of spirit. Would you agree with that, young Jane?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's nothing offends me more or hurts me more than when those that are not fully informed, i.e., certain persons, clairvoyants, mediums, whatever, not to decry anybody, but it has been known when they do give, it's all about the ego work. This is, when they give any negative messages whatsoever, it can do no one any good whatsoever. And quite honestly, depending on the guides that you have or you've earned that work with you, you wouldn't be given such information because it serves no good purpose. And any guide or serving medium that's worth their salt is all about working for the higher good of people, nothing less than that.
I agree 100%, and you've answered that better than I could. We mediums, or whatever we do spiritually, any form of mediumship, any form of healing, um, we're on different levels of understanding. There are those that will go around saying these things, but there are also those of us like me and Jane and many, many, many others that will work for the greatest and highest good. That will
Many,
seek
many.
that will seek to bring comfort, healing, upliftment, guidance in whatever way we're working with spirit. Anyway, we've got 2 minutes to go, young Jan. So for
Read
those who
your
don't know,
poem.
yeah, I'm going to read my poem, and this is actually I wrote this poem from an experience that I had, and basically I sat down to send out healing one night, and I found myself in Christ light, so I wrote a poem about it. Okay,
Oh,
as we
wow.
Christ, right? And I've entitled it Conscious Within Christ Light. I sit down to pray in my dark room, visualizing a white cross to focus my love for healing. I find myself floating in the stars, looking down on Mother Earth, a jewel in the crown of creation. In awe of the starlight, the realization comes, I am floating in Christ light. It is still and silent, the permanence of eternity. Nothing can shatter this connection to all things. No ripples can disturb this divine space. At one and conscious within Christ light, I must still my mind for a message to be heard and understood in heart. He never came to free us from sin. He came to show us we are eternal, to look beyond ourselves, to see our need for wealth, status, and power are of little relevance in eternal life. He was not a saviour. He came to guide us, to know the Christ light is within us all. My heart now illumined in star Christ light is the gift and knowledge he came to share. And thank you for listening.
Absolutely stunning, Stephen. How
Thank you.
beautiful.
And I hope
And
everybody enjoyed that. And thank you.
wonderful experience for you to have had as well. And share with us. It's beautiful.
Yeah, if you have that connection through prayer, it's amazing what realizations you can reach. And I'll leave it on that. Jan, you've been brilliant as always. And I thought of another discussion we can have, so you will get invited on again.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Thank
Sorry
you for
about that.
having me. and
No,
provide
you're more
everybody.
welcome, Jan, and thanks to Veronica for hosting all this, and thank
Yes,
you
thank you,
to
Veronica.
for everybody that come and gave their thoughts and asked questions. God bless you all, and thank you.